What's up, world of tankers? Welcome back to my channel. This is Gun-Blitz, and today I'm going to be reviewing the AMX-13 M24. This tank is a tier 7 French medium tank, so let's get this review started. Let's go over some of the specs on this tank. This medium has 1220 hit points, and the damage per minute is 1840. And the penetration on AP is 167, APCR 252, and HE 49. And the average damage is on AP 220, APCR 185, and HE 260, and that is per shell. And the reload time is 11.35 seconds, and that's for the clip. And the reload between each shell is 3 seconds. And the dispersion is 0.340, which is decent. This tank has 7 degrees of gun depression. And let's talk about the armor of this medium tank. This tank does look like it has some armor in the front, but don't expect much bounces from this tank. So definitely do not play this tank frontline. And this tank can be HE'd from the back, so you gotta be very careful. As you can see here, if you do angle the tank's armor, you might be able to get some bounces. And here we arrive to our first battle on Rockfield. I forgot to go over on the mobility on this tank. This medium can go up to 57 forward and 20 in reverse, and an average speed of 36, which is pretty mobile. But for some reason this tank feels a little sluggish to me. You want to play this tank passive and use your mobility. And be sure you back up into cover once you dump your clip. I like to go medium side on this map in this tank. And spot this bush right here. As you can see, we spotted that enemy. But be very careful, since I noticed that this medium doesn't have a good camo value and can be spotted really easily. And we see this AMX crossing, and we are able to get a nice shell into him. We're going to try and get another shell into this AMX, but unfortunately we weren't able to hit him. But he does bounce us in return. As you can see, I back up right away into cover as soon as I dump my clip. But I still want to stay in this corner, that way I keep the enemy spotted. And we are able to sneak a nice shell into this Tiger P. And I didn't notice this Triv flank around me. And he will get a couple shells on to me. But he played way too aggressively, and he will pay for it. I'm gonna go ahead and load an HE, and we are able to get a nice HE shell into him. And let's see if we can clear him out. And yes, we max roll and clear him out. And I turn around and I see this ARL. He's very low health. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and help him out before he gets destroyed. And I'm trying to tell him to fall back, but he pushed up way too fast. I'm going to see if I can clear this enemy AMX out, and yes, we are able to get a nice clear into him. And there's this other AMX, and we're able to get a nice shell into him as well. At this point, I'm going to push up around to this corner right here, and I spot this Tiger 131, and let's see if we can clear him out. We get a nice shell into him, and we back up right away, and get another nice shell into him, and back up again. And as you can see in that situation, we baited a shell from that 131 by backing up and giving him a hard time to hit us. And I see that the rest of the enemy is on the heavy side on this map. And I see this AMX and get one nice shell into him. And we are able to get another nice shell into him. Unfortunately, that we weren't able to destroy him. He was left with 1 HP. And there is only one more enemy tank left, the Cryo. So let's see if we can get any shells into him. Unfortunately, we were only able to track him, and we weren't able to even destroy him. But the gun on this tank can be troll like that. You get a nice victory with 2000 damage. And a class 2. So grinding this tank in this tank line should not be a big problem since this tank is a pretty good tank. It does have a nice clip for a tier 7 and a nice reload. Shout out to one of my clanmates for sending me this replay. And here is the second battle in Vineyards. This battle is a great showcase of the capabilities of this tank. Even though he played somewhat aggressive in this battle shows the mobility of this tank and a capability of flanking. He's going to go med side and try spot for the team. And you can see the mobility on this tank. This tank is pretty mobile. And you can see right here how many enemies got spotted. It's really important to spot for your team. That way your team can get some shells out on the enemy. And he was able to get one nice shell into that AMX. And he is able to dump his last shell out on that VK. And he is going to back up into cover and reload. As you can see, that reload on this tank is pretty fast for an auto reloader. And he's going to go ahead and push up since he knows he got to clear out the medium side as fast as he can. He gets one nice shell into this chroma and he gets the second one out and destroys him. Unfortunately, the enemy AMX was able to get 2 shells out onto him. And this AMX is going to go and try and run away, but he gets 1 shell into him and he is able to get another second shell into him before he runs away. And here he's going to go ahead and use his mobility to push up since the enemy is on the other side of the map. Let's see if he can get a shell out on this Lycan. Unfortunately, he does bounce him once, but he was able to penetrate it the second time. And this Lycan is just sitting right there in the open, and he gets a nice shell into him. But he does bounce the second one. This gun can be troll like that. At this point, he's going to switch positions and use his mobility to push around and see if he can get any shells out onto the enemy. He sees this tiger crossing. Unfortunately, he does bounce him once, but he is able to get this AMX with his second shell. And he sees that he gets spotted and he's going to go ahead and back up. That way he is not in the open and doesn't give the enemy an advantage to farm him out. And look just how fast that clip reloads. Unfortunately, he does bounce 1 shell, but he hits the second one. And I have no idea what happened to his team. His team just fell apart so fast. It's just crazy. And they were all pretty healthy. Just unfortunate, sometimes you get those teams in World of Tanks. Yeah, this gun can definitely beat troll sometimes. But he is able to get the second shell out on that tiger. At this point, he is going to use his mobility to reposition since the enemy team knows where he is at. That's what you want to do in a medium or light tank. You want to spot for your team and reposition and find positions to farm the enemy out. At this point, it is a 1v4. Let's see if he can clutch this win. He is able to clear that AMX. That was very important, since the AMX has the most mobility. And he does get a lucky bounce from this Tiger 1, and he gets a nice shell out onto him in return. And he does get lucky in this game, since the whole enemy team is just spread apart. So it gives him the advantage to focus on one tank at a time. And he gets a nice shell into that Lycan. I have no idea how did that penetrate, but I'm glad it did. Now the only tanks that are left is the AT-7 and a Tiger. He knows the Tiger is in front of him. He's going to go ahead and use his mobility and circle around him. This is a good showcase how to use your mobility on medium and light tanks against heavies. And he is able to clear him out. He's going to use his mobility to flank around and see if he can spot this AT-7. He is already up to 3,000 damage and 4 tanks destroyed. He definitely carried this team. And he was able to spot that AT-7. It doesn't get spotted in return. So he is going to go ahead and flank around and find a good position to farm that AT-7 out. And I am surprised that he got spotted right here. It just shows that this tank doesn't have a great camo value. Of course, it is better than the heavies, but for a medium tank, I'm surprised that it is this bad. As you can see, he waited until he is unspotted and poked out on the AT-7 and gets a nice shell into him before backing up into cover. If you are hiding behind cover, it takes 10 seconds for you to get unspotted. So he went ahead and reloaded his clip, and that tells him when he gets unspotted. He gets unlucky right here, and the shell misses the AT-7. And he bounces him the second time, which is just unfortunate. At this point, he's not going to poke that bush again, since the AT-7 knows that he is there. So he is going to go ahead and flank around. He does have only 40 seconds left to destroy that AT-7 before the game ends. So let's see if he can clutch this and get this win. That would be really nice. And he knows that he doesn't have enough time to flank all the way around that AT-7. So he's going to go ahead and take his chances and use his mobility to rush that AT-7. And yes, he is able to flank around that AT-7 without getting shot. And he gets one nice shell into him. And he's able to penetrate his second shell and win the game. A 1 versus 4 clutch. It's just a crazy game. He gets a victory with over 3,500 damage and 5 tanks destroyed. And he gets an ace with doing top of the team. That is all for the review on this medium tank. Thank you for watching, guys. Like and subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next one. Peace.